Namaste, fellow waves in the oceans of consciousness. Again, we are back. Okay, we are back with the Fight Plan after show, the in show, the Ben Meyers special, after the bell, ding fucking ding. Fight fans, people engaged in the fight in life, trying to disengage from that fight. This is our co-host for that journey, Ben Meyers. Welcome in, my spiritual brother. Thank you for being here.
What a first guest, huh?
Oh my God, dude.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. So grateful to be able to talk about this stuff. And we can dive right into it, my friend. Thorbs is an absolute legend. I'm interested for you. What was something you took away from it before I even get into this? Because I want to hear your first fight with the person that gave you your first crack at it, your first go. What was it like to interview him on the first podcast?
Dude, I mean, you hear about different guys' reputation. You hear about the respect they have. You know, some guys are crazy. I'm sure guys have lots of opinions on me, but I heard about this guy and it just, you know, when somebody surpasses your expectations, isn't that just a beautiful feeling when you're just like, damn, this guy's even better than they said he was. Even better than he said he was. He's a guy that clearly you can tell he never really liked fighting. He never really wanted to do it, but he did it to do the job. And then he gave me an opportunity, which he did not have to do. And now he's giving me the opportunity and us the opportunity to talk about his energy on this podcast. I'm just so full of gratitude, man. It's unbelievable.
Something that stuck out with through that entire show was his humbleness.
Yes.
It's almost like it's been with him from the get-go. And you can tell that he was so quick to honor and thank and be full of gratitude of the people that played a role in his journey, not just the people, but the places. And you talk about his boys that were gassing him up to go talk to his wife at the hostess stand at Olive Garden and stuff like that. Isn't that just so true that we almost are in a culmination of the places and the people and the things we surround ourselves with? And you can see just an absolute gem of a human crediting the Blues and all of the organizations and the way they've treated him and the people when he went through the tough spots. Like, have you have any experiences like he was talking about, like where you can look back and be like, you know what? If it wasn't for that moment, those people, those places, like, I don't know if I would have arrived here after the bell, after an amazing first podcast. Like, what about you?
That's a very interesting question because it's taken me back to my last season before I retired, just like he did with his last organization. I mean, I'm playing in Rockford. When people read what happened leading me to get to Rockford in that book, man, they're going to understand why I was having a pretty tough time. And if it wasn't for the training staff, the management, the coaches, the players, even the people that worked in the arena in Rockford, I don't know if I would have made it to the rink every day. These people were unbelievable. We had a captain who was 32. I was 27. We had another guy who was 34. And the rest of the team was under 23. And they just were the best kids. They listened to what we said. We set the tempo. They followed in line. We had the best parties as a team. We had the most love shared in the locker room. We were up and down season, but just the energy. It was such a jewel to end off my career, which I didn't know I was about to, with such amazing people. And like you said, we are the sum of the people we surround ourselves with. And sometimes you don't get to choose that as a hockey player with your organization, but you don't get to choose it as a family either. And look what Thorbs came up with and look what that set him up for.
Well, you brought it up and you almost like knocked him back a little bit when you were like, you played over 800 games in the big show, right? And you mentioned a stat about like, that was the leading amount of games from his like draft class. And if I remember that correctly.
For his role, for sure.
And, oh my gosh, an absolute stud, right? And you brought up a lot of stuff. It's this place to be able to have to unwind, a place to be yourself, the support system. And there was a story that really stuck out. It was, you know, when he was getting to the end of the line with the Blues during his last season and his boys came up and he was going to take that flight out. And they brought a sixer up and they're like, no, you're leaving tomorrow. Like, we're going to go out. And he's like, yeah, I cried. They supported me. We laughed. We joked. We went out. And you could just see how like grateful he was for that. And all it brought up for me was how important it is to surround yourself, not with people that are just going to ride the highs with you and celebrate you along the way, but the people when, you know, things get tough, shit gets really tough, that are going to put their arm around you and let you feel the emotions, especially in a hockey locker room, right? Like any locker room, any job, like to have people that allow you to feel your emotions and be vulnerable. I thought that was the coolest thing for him to share and talk about.
And it's funny, right? In hockey, in this big macho sport, we don't think that always exists because guys are stoic on camera and stuff. But clearly, he was someone who was comfortable enough to be vulnerable in front of other guys. And they were loving enough and knowing who he was to come up and do that for him. Do you ever have a time in your life, whether it was your back to your basketball career, any time in your life where you were just down and somebody allowed you to actually feel?
I'm fortunate it's my family. My family has always been super supportive of me. I didn't make it out of high school sports because you talk about how you burned the boat crossing the ocean, right? For me, I think I just burned out playing. I played 3 sports all year round. And by the time I got to like my senior year, I was just making bonehead decisions. I told my high school coach, not politely, to go fuck himself. And I quit on the spot when I was getting like looked at for like college offers and stuff like that. So it was really fortunate, right? But I looked back and my family supported me. They like understood when I didn't understand like what I was feeling, what I was going through. And there was none of this, hey, you should have handled it this way. You didn't do it. You're not good enough. They're like, yeah, you met the end of the rope there. That's okay. And like, that was an eye opener for me because I understood like the decisions I make, I'm going to have support behind me, and they'll let me know maybe when I was out of line. They definitely told me I shouldn't have said it and done it the way I did, but they understood, right? What about you? Like you said, you burnt the boat going across the ocean. What sticks out for you?
I mean, I'm just thinking about him now with the frustration that came out afterwards. Like that's where I'm going with it because he just, for someone who's tough and didn't really want to fight, even this vulnerable teddy bear of a guy, he gets out of his career and now he's thinking about like honking at the old lady in front of him on the road. He's having to assimilate back into his family's house and the frustration's coming up. I mean, I was just thinking as you were speaking, a young kid, because I went through and he went through that as an older man. You're in high school getting college offers for basketball and the heat of, my God, I said some crazy things to people at that age and the anger, the piss and vinegar I was full of back then. That's where I was thinking like he went and had the ability to identify it and just, okay, this is a problem. I'm going to get to the gym with my fighting guy and I got to hit something. Like the awareness there is incredible. Like as a young guy, I didn't have that. Did you?
We talk about, once again, I didn't do it on a professional level, but the thing I understood was between the lines, I was a completely different person. There was a switch that went on and I was an absolute shithead. I was the most opposite version of myself. I was saying things to refs. I was saying things to other teams that if I heard myself say that now, I would have to give that kid a hug and be like, brother, what are you doing? You know what's really interesting? I have my notes over here and he talked about not pretending like you know everything. He talked about when he was like assimilating back into like family life and he had this trust in his wife. He's like, she's got her routine. She's got her style. Like, and I came in trying to change anything. He's like, I had to ask her, hey, what do I do here? And I sat there and I was like, vulnerability. Like, how cool is that? It was, you think of it just even not even as a professional hockey player, but as men, we often want to have all the answers. We want to tap into that masculinity of like, we're the ones you go to no matter what. We have everything. And realizing like, you know how strong that is to be like, hey, I don't know what to do here. Can you provide a little insight? Can I get a little help? Like that's teamwork. That's life partnership outside of the rink, outside of the courts, all of that kind of stuff. That really stood out to me.
Yeah, because it's not about just being the masculine to the feminine. We all are that individual that has to balance both polarities. So him coming back as a, this male lion being like, hey, I'm going to run the household now because I'm home all the time. Queen Lioness was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he said, okay, check me. I got that. And for me as an athlete, I was so yang. I was so push. I was so get. Oh my God, I didn't know how to receive. I didn't know how to take something in and digest it, chew on it, understand where I could be better, and then present that back. It was always what I could take instead of what I could give. And I feel like he just tapped right into that, dude. And I think that's the biggest thing. We talk about this wounded masculine, this toxic masculinity. I touched on it with him and he's like, I don't want to get it. Afterwards, he's like, I don't know about Andrew Tate and all that stuff. But like, I do know that guys just need to be around each other and share how they feel.
Two words pop up in my awareness, and it's react versus respond. How many of us just react based off like old patterning, like old ways of conditionings, the way we've been taught to think, respond, all the things. And then when we get to a level of response where we take a beat, where we're able to take a breath and be like, hold on, how does that version of myself show up here? And you able to get a little bit of space from the energy that's probably got you like cooking a little bit. You're like, hmm. And all of a sudden you're able to take that one breath. I have this saying, I always think of it. I never feel the same after 3 deep breaths because the energy subsides a little bit. So he seems like somebody who just started to master the art of response over reaction.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and he was a player, as we spoke about, and I kept bringing it up, and he's such a good guy. He didn't want to go there with it, but I'm like, dude, he didn't make a sideshow of the game. I was this fighter guy that I had to kind of push the envelope and get attention. He could play. He was just like, I'm out here to fit in and do my role. I'm not here to stand out. I'm not here to throw a game. I'm not here to take a bad late penalty. I'm just here to do my role. And I mean, on the spiritual path for me, it's funny how we talk about surrender and acceptance. That's all yin. That's not yang. And that's not weak. That's not a problem. That's power. That's power. You can't do anything or move forward if you can't birth something new. You can't just go out and just take all the time. And he's, like he said, he's so vulnerable to say he's honking at old ladies on the road. And that's such powerful awareness. It's such powerful awareness because we all do this. We all think it's normal to honk at someone like that. We all think it's normal to, complain about the weather. We all think it's normal to share aggression, but it's not. It's just become this cultural norm of society. And that's what leaves us with reaction and not response.
It's wild because you think of professional athletes and how skilled they all are in every aspect of the game. Like sometimes you think of like the grinders that are out there, right? Like, oh, they're not the best stick handlers or the best skaters and stuff like that. But you put them up against an average Joe, they look like Sid the Kid out there, right? Like they're dangling around everybody. But it's interesting. It's kind of like we don't often ask ourselves that question in the aspects of our like everyday life. Like, what role am I playing today? Like as you talk about the spiritual journey, it's kind of like what is required of me today in this role instead of what do I want it to be? Because so much of us are trying to force this round peg into a square hole and it's just not working. And so thinking about that, it's kind of like, once again, the response level of it, of stepping back and being like, what is required of me in this role today, in this moment? I mean, if we want to bring it back to just the present moment kind of thing. But that's something that I really gathered is whether it be longevity in careers or, happiness and presence in life, it's not forcing ourselves to be the things we've been taught or we've been desiring. It's understanding that each moment requires a different thing from us. And it's just having the awareness to understand what is being called through us at that time.
Right. And I guess he kind of got schooled in that as coming up in just a close Italian family. Everybody's always pulling their weight, doing their role. He gets to pro. He has great mentors and veterans, and he's a good player. He's picked in the second round, and he comes into pro, and he was a hell of a damn good player in the minors, like almost a point per game. But he had to have that conversation with the coach, and it's crazy how most guys in this role in this podcast are going to be guys that knew their role coming up. He had to change on the fly in pro. He had to already practice acceptance and surrender if he wanted to. He couldn't force being a square peg in a round hole. He had to change. He had to receive. He had to alter his plan. And look what that turned into, a beautiful life, a beautiful respect that he's garnered around the league. And then now, because of that vulnerability, because of that energy he creates, he's able to give that space to others now as a player development coach. Like I can't think of a more perfect guy, because you cannot have a player development coach. Like we look at Wayne Gretzky, best player ever, not the best coach. Okay. We talked about this before, you cannot have certain personalities. I don't think Kobe Bryant would have been a good coach. Okay. Michael Jordan, we know that didn't go well. Not even as an owner, guys playing on the freaking court. This guy is the space to be yourself and to learn and to find your own answers, which we learned in our certified integrative health coaching course at Nickerson Institute. So just speak on that, because you are someone who has been a light in my life in that aspect.
I appreciate that. But likewise, my friend, I think the whole, it takes two to tango is energy exchange back and forth. And I think it's realizing that, like Thorbs was even talking about, it's evolution throughout your journey. Not taking boxing classes or getting in a boxing gym early on, just relying on throwing knuckles, right? And then all of a sudden mastering the craft, and then understanding as you get older, maybe you get a couple injuries, you can't play your guitar anymore or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
And then you start going to more martial arts. So I think that's, what we do as, mental health coaches, integrated mental health coaches, that is we constantly evolve, and we understand that each person you either work with or a version of yourself that you're working with requires a different way to show up. And it's often just a mirror of yourself looking at you. And so I ask myself, whether I'm working with you or working with other clients, I sit there and I go, how would I show up for that version of me? Because a lot of times people get this idea that whether it be a therapist, a counselor, a coach, a mentor, they're going to give you the answers, but it's more of the role to be a guide and a support and help you find the answers for yourself. So when, you get back into that corner again, you're not looking around for someone to help you. You understand and have the belief that you have the tools on your tool belt already.
Brother. He's channeling again, people. That is so true. This healthcare system, therapists in general, all this model that we've been taught, which I think that's a whole nother podcast and rabbit hole of why it is the way it is, but they're all siloed. You have your heart doctor telling you to take this med, and you go to your endocrinologist. He's like, well, you can't take that for your pancreas. And they're not on the same page. That's what integrative health is. It's meeting people where they're at, knowing they have the answer. It is not outside themselves. And that's because we found that answer within ourselves already. And that's why we always joke, like we got on calls offline. It's like, we're just talking to ourselves, man. And that's what we're doing. We're talking to a version of ourselves. How can we be a chameleon to meet that part of ourselves where they're at? And that's what sounds like Thorbs is doing. Like he's literally like telling guys, I don't have all the answers. I just want you to be able to pick up the phone and call me when you need me. Call me when you need me. I'm the open space. And then I asked him further, what do you think guys need to do? And he's like, honestly, again, I can help you find the answers, but just get around people. Get around people in community, because like you said, the answers are all out there. ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, all this stuff. The issue isn't the answers, people. It's the delivery. It's the space. It's the energy exchange. And Chris Thorburn, St. Louis Blues prospects, if you're not taking advantage of that guy, holy cow.
It's incredible the space he allows, right? Not even creates. It's the space he allows to be. Yeah. Like he talks about like how what's really cool is this next generation, they want to know, they want to talk, they want to be there, they want to receive the information. Where I think, so I'm 38, right? I know you're a little bit younger, but I feel like more our generation was hard-headedness, stubbornness. I'm going to figure it all out by myself, because if I don't, then I'm weak kind of thing. Yes. Once again, he's just a little bit older, and you can see that like you have that trusted mentor, that trusted professional ahead of you, and you're willing to be not just in as far as talking about sports, but about life. He talks about that, like the importance of having a routine on and off the ice, getting involved with people, getting involved with the community. All the amazing work he's doing with autism and his wonderful family and his son. Like it's those type of things that there's purpose outside of career. There's purpose outside of, that silo we're living in. And I think that's so important. I'm like, St. Louis, man, you guys have a good one. Like, just as a human being, like I can't help but smile when I was watching that entire episode. Like just an absolute gem of a human being, man.
I know. Oh, yeah. Cause he showcased how he dealt with tough situations right at the end of his career. And they're like, yep, check the final box on Chris Thorburn being someone we can't let leave our organization. You think Winnipeg would be clawing him back, but St. Louis is like, no, I don't care. He spent his whole career with you. He's with us. He finished with us. We've seen who he is. He's too powerful of a person and energy to let go. And then I kind of pushed him a little bit further. Okay, so give us something instead of just hanging around the boys. What's something that you think that these kids are lacking a little bit? Like give us something a little bit. And he goes, like you touched on, the lack of that routine, that discipline. Because what I found in my journey, man, the problems aren't going anywhere. The things we're dealing with aren't going anywhere. It's not going to be gone by the end of the ice cream tub you dip into or the Netflix binge or the doom scroll. They're going to be waiting for you. Okay. You got to rip that Band-Aid off eventually. And that's how you grow. The people who, the cow runs from the storm, it follows them. The buffalo that stands and faces it, walks into that thing. It not only gets through it faster, it grows. And he's saying that there's that lack of discipline when I've seen that discipline is the only true way to freedom.
And I think a big thing to market to the world is motivation and discipline. There's a difference.
Oh,
right? If we only do things when we're motivated to do them,
Mm.
we're going to show up 1 out of 10 times. But if we're going to do things discipline, we're at least going to bump that up to 8 to 9 out of 10 times. And discipline is the act of showing up when we're not motivated to do it. And that's why he talked about having a routine. When you get to rely on your routine, and that's just not like exercise, that's mental, that is physical, that's emotional, that's spiritual, whatever it is for you, it could be faith-based. It's understanding you have a place and a routine to go to when you're having these maybe physical ailments, mental ailments, emotional ailments, spiritual ailments, whatever it is. You have that space and that routine you can rely on that become your fundamentals. And just like we were talking about earlier in sports, like you do things a million times. So when it happens and when the game happens, when life happens, it's second nature. That's when, you hug the post, or you go up with your left instead of your right, or you close the deal when you were feeling sick, whatever it is, you have your routines that you can rely on in the big moments.
So true. It's so true. Why would it be any other way? Why would relying on motivation and only doing it when you want to, why would that ever lead to growth? And we're so conditioned to be scared of the pain, scared of the suffering. I just want to feel good all the time. But that's where I think also the discipline to do the meaningless seeming work that seems weird and woo-woo, like you walking around with a journal collecting your wins, all the things I've done where people think I'm nuts, going around the rink with food. I was always one of this guy I played with, Jake Joshua, would be like, protein, Gabriel, because I was always eating protein. He's like, I either got a milkshake or a whey protein shake or chicken on you. I'm like, because that's the discipline it takes. I'm trying to grow here. It's the same thing. So if it takes you having to walk around with a sticky note on your damn forehead, I don't care. Whatever it is for you to go, okay, something bad is happening. I always run away from it. Remember, I'm tricking myself to respond, not react, not to react and run, to respond, to lean in, because I know my body wants to keep me safe. We have to hack this biology. The body says, we're safe right now. Over the hill is unknown. I don't know what happened past there. I'm going to stay here, regardless of that, because I know I'm going to stay alive. No, you have to say, my body does not know and just wants to keep me alive. I need to grow and stretch beyond this. I need to push through that uncomfortable feeling. That's where the change happens.
Yeah, the mind will choose predictability every time, whether that feels good or not. And I think that's where people get kind of confused. I know it tripped me up all the time, is the mind is going to predict and it's going to choose what it knows. So what it knows might be damning behavior. It might be really toxic relationships. It might be the wrong food, the wrong people, the wrong places, but it would rather choose that than something it can't protect you from. Because in the mind's eye, right? In the mind's perspective, it goes, yeah, this sucked, but you survived it, didn't you? My whole goal is just to keep you alive, and you're here. We did our job, and it can't give 100% certainty with something it doesn't know. You mentioned the journal, and I think it's really important. Is like, so I do that, right? And what I do is by 12:30, whenever we started recording this, I had 11 wins. So at the end of the day, I go, oh, okay, but what happens on the days maybe it's not the best day? But I've created the routine of finding my wins throughout the entire day. When I'm having that rough day, at the end, when I go to review it, I go, damn, I strung together a lot of wins today. That's when those routines that Thorbs talks about is so important, because the discipline of it is when you will get the payoff when you leave. You never know what you're training for. You never know what you're training for.
Because the untrained mind is always going to go to, I don't care about the 25 wins. I'm going to go to the one loss, because that's what might lead us to dying, because my only job is to keep you alive. Yep. So this is why it has to be a holistic, integrative approach. It can't just be discipline over motivation. I was always a person as an athlete too. I need to know not just what I'm supposed to do, but why am I doing it? I don't want you to just say, just go forecheck and be like, okay, but what's the implications of doing this and then this on the forecheck? How does that relate to this? That's why it's important integratively to meet people where they're at. Some people are going to like certain ways, other people aren't. You have to meet yourself at where that's at. Maybe you're more positive like Thorbs. I don't know. You're more crazy negative like me. I had more fear to run from. My body was trying to keep me so safe. I had to focus on the positive so much. And it sounds like you're the same with your journal there, pal.
We're conditioned through life, right, to always find the negative. You look at whether it be news cycles, social media, articles, propaganda, all the way back to when it was like Edison, Tesla, Ben Franklin, all of them. It's all negative stuff. we're conditioned to find the negative first. But this crazy thing called neuroplasticity is you can rewire, right? You can create new neural pathways. That's just a fancy way of saying you can change the way you think and respond. You're not destined to just be a negative person. Whether it be sports, whether it be speaking and learning a new language, it's just through repetition. And it's getting through what I call the 2 weeks, hell week, whatever, two weeks of hell or whatever, of when your mind goes, nope, we can't do this. Nope, we can't do this. Nope, we can't do this. And by day 14, it goes, looks like we're going to try doing this. And it finally wears it down. And that's when you start breaking those old habits. What do they say? Like 21 days to break a habit, 8 days to break a habit. One of it, just break the habit.
Yes.
Because it's proven you're able to do it.
Yes. And I think, as we know with human beings, we can be told something, but if we hear a story that resonates and it's a picture, I think it helps. One of the clients I worked with so far in coaching, she said this analogy helps so much. And I got it from Jesse Stars, this guy on Instagram, amazing coach. And he says, this is literally how your mind works. Okay. Picture a house that's just full of, like, you know, those chairs they use for assemblies at school, like those random, like, plastic chairs. Your house is just full of chairs. And you're just like, I'm sick of these chairs. So you open all the doors, back door, windows, and you start chucking chairs out the house. Okay. This house is your mind. These chairs are your thoughts. What you're doing is engaging with these thoughts and chucking them out. Your mind's looking at this as like his third observer going, oh, Ben really likes playing with chairs. He really likes playing with thoughts. Let's just give him more. And the house keeps piling up with chairs. Okay. So we need to just sit down in that house full of clutter. I tell my mom this and she's like, oh, I'd lose my mind. She loves a clean house, right? I'm like, yeah, the whole idea is you have to sit there and not engage with those chairs. Let them pile up to the roof. And your mind goes, wow, Ben doesn't really like playing with chairs anymore. We'll try a couple more days, 21 days later. Oh, he doesn't care at all. And those chairs just evaporate, people. So picture that. Stop chucking the chairs out your house. Sit with them. Look at them. Dare I say love them? And watch how things change.
It's crazy because I think it's where a lot of us, me included, used to get tripped up on, like, the idea of meditation. It was this idea of a silenced mind, your mind's silent. And if it's not silent, you're not meditating. And realizing that meditation is not a silence of the mind. It's actually quite the opposite. It's allowed to have as many thoughts as it wants. It's allowed to run as fast as it wants. Being aware of it is the art of meditation. It's allowing them to come and allowing them to go. And then when they revisit, saying hello to them and letting them pass back through. It's that repetition of that is being present. It's not clearing these thoughts or clearing any of these things. It's allowing them to be. And I think that goes, when you can practice that, you understand the same goes for emotions. Whether it be happiness, joy, anger, sadness, grief, they're not permanent. They also come and go. So we want to grasp so tightly on happiness and never let it go, where we want to run from anger and sadness, where that's just not how it works. They are present in the present moment, and then we feel them and then we let them pass. And then the next moment requires a different thought, a different feeling, a different emotion, a different way to show up.
How could it be any other way? How could we? It's like the answers are all out there. Michael Jordan, he's the best. He's better than Braun, whatever. What did he say? Why am I the best? Because I failed the most, people. I failed the most, and I took the most shots. I learned every failure is not a downward step. Oh, I suck. It's an upward stepping stone to success. And it's so plainly obvious. It hurts, but this is what we do on After the Bell, man. We're just going to beat it into people's heads. You fail your way to freedom. You fail your way to permanent happiness. You fail your way to manifesting the dream life that you've always wanted.
I'm going to challenge and remind myself and maybe others that failure isn't the end of the line. Failure is the lesson. Failure is the opportunity. Failure is where the most gold is found, right? It's not found in all the successes. So, like, I've rewired my mind to thinking of failure as being something to be excited about, because it leads to the next door, which is where the sunshines, the rainbows, the peaches, the gold, and all of that is. So we get excited for the no's, we get excited for the failures, we get excited for those things to the best of our ability. It's still allowed to suck. But yeah, I love the way you put that, man.
The way it sucks makes it interesting. If it didn't suck, what's the point of playing this beautiful video game? And I think this is such a powerful idea to end After the Bell with. The first time, are you kidding me? This is what we're taking through, people. This is what we're going to continually lean on. This is where we come in and we meet these conversations about wherever it went. where it was for us and how you can see yourself and place yourself and make changes in your life. So brother, holy cow, this is just the beginning. I am so excited to see where this thing goes. Thank you so much for being you, for doing the work on yourself and inspiring me to do that work, and all of our listeners, man. After the bell, ding, ding, episode 1, boom.
Send love, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Namaste.